So you feel like your jiu-jitsu has started to plateau. Just know that that's a completely normal thing to happen in your jiu-jitsu career. You're going to have times almost at every single belt level where you feel like your jiu-jitsu has somewhat plateaued. And so in today's video, I want to talk about why that actually might be happening and some solutions that I teach my students and I personally do myself. You'll actually have some action steps that you can take in order to either break through it or try to prevent it from happening again. So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it right now. How's it going, everyone? My name is Chasen Hill. I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt. I've been teaching and training jiu-jitsu now for over 14 years. So if you guys like all things jiu-jitsu, it's probably a pretty good channel for you guys to check out. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below. It does help me in the YouTube algorithm get seen by more people. Also, hit that bell icon. That way you're notified when the latest video comes out. So I made a video the other day talking about the 5 reasons of why jiu-jitsu white belts normally quit and some solutions in that. So if you guys haven't checked that out yet, make sure you do that right here. But in today's video, I want to isolate one specific part of that video that I talked about. So just so that we're all clear, plateauing just means that you have actually flatlined and you're either not going up or you're not going down. You've just kind of hit this brick wall and you're stuck. I think though that plateauing, to tell you the truth, it's not really a real thing. And here's why. Plateauing doesn't actually occur. Plateauing would literally mean that every time that you step on the mat, you're just like flatlining, you're not getting better. I've actually never seen a student who at least comes in and trains and gives like marginal effort not improve. You're gonna be better than you were the day before. I think we need to kind of flip that plateauing script in a different way and say, you're not happy with the amount of progress that you're having currently. That's what really that plateauing means. It means like, oh man, my growth has slowed down and I'm not improving as rapidly as I once was. Remember, when you were a white belt, right? And it was the first time that you were learning anything about grappling or jiu-jitsu wise, you knew absolutely nothing. So the capacity and the amount of growth that you had available was absolutely massive. Every time that you trained, you experienced these big growth outbursts, and then it starts to slow down over time. So when you get toward your blue belt or the end of your white belt career, you're gonna feel like, man, I'm not progressing anymore. I have stopped. I've hit this plateau, or whatever you want to tell yourself. Just know that that's completely normal. That probably means that you're ready for like kind of a new thing to start training or a new phase of development. Obviously, we can have the things like maybe you're not training as consistently, you're not training as regularly as you would like. There's those kinds of things that can also create that plateauing effect. But what I'm more focused on right now is a student who's training on a regular basis and just feels like, man, I'm stuck and I'm not moving forward and I can't do anything about that. So the first way that we're going to start to apply a solution toward this plateauing effect is trying to figure out actually what created the plateau in the first place. You need to have some kind of metric or a measurement way to determine that you've plateaued. Ask yourself, why do you come to that conclusion? And there's a bunch of answers. There's not just one simple answer to that, but that's where the solution to the problem is going to start. To identify why this thought has come into your head. Is it because you're not as happy with your performance in class? Like maybe when you're rolling and sparring with people, you don't feel like you're doing as well. Maybe your go-to techniques are no longer working, or you've identified more weaknesses, or you're starting to have people who didn't tap you now start to tap you. Maybe it's a competition type thing. Maybe you're not performing as well as you used to in competition. You need to kind of identify that source of the plateau so that way we can start to solve it. Now that we've kind of understood why that plateau is going to happen, believe it or not, other things that we can do are kind of very closely connected. Get out of a plateau or to break out of a rut is number one, what I always recommend students to do is tell either an upper belt or their instructor that they're in a plateau and tell them why you think that. Because what they're going to do is they know your jiu-jitsu game probably better than anybody else outside of you. They know the moves that they probably know what you've been training, and then they can kind of give you some recommendations about some other paths that could happen or some specific advice to fix whatever is creating that plateau. So let's use the example that you think that your performance isn't as great in class, and that's the plateauing effect. You tell this upper belt, hey, I don't think my performance is good as it was in class. I feel like I've hit this plateau. And he says, well, what makes you say that? And you say, well, because I'm training with this guy over here and none of this is working. There is great power in getting a conversation started with like an upper belt or someone who knows more than you, because they can usually kind of tweak whatever you're doing or help you adjust something that breaks through that plateau. Sometimes plateaus also will occur just because the thing has run its course. Sometimes you'll start to focus on a specific technique or a specific concept or a specific thing in your jiu-jitsu area, and you've just run it into the ground so much that people have learned about it in the gym, people understand what you're trying to do, and so naturally they have improved and they've kind of developed their own little counter offense to it. You need to maybe put it back on the back burner, now focus on a new aspect that could like piggyback off of that thing, and then start to focus on that. So a lot of times a good shift in mindset to overcome a plateau is to change your focus completely. And that might be now going to a new strength. That might be to focus on a new weakness or to develop like a new area of your jiu-jitsu game. So let me know down in the comments below, have you ever experienced a plateau before in your jiu-jitsu? If you have, let me know how you overcame it, or if you're still experiencing it right now, because others could really benefit from that knowledge. Leave a comment down below. Once you can become aware of why problems exist or aware of why this plateau is occurring, it's really like a superpower, because there are plenty of resources out there, like your coaches, your training partners, schmucks like me out here on YouTube, or instructionals you can buy that can fix the technical aspect. But you are one of the only people that can identify actually what's creating that plateau. Hopefully that makes sense. Like your coach is not going to be able to hold their hand up to your head and read your brain and be like, oh yeah, all seeing the plateau is because of this. Well, it doesn't work like that. You're the only one that can really determine why that plateau happens. So here are some things that you guys can do to set yourself up for success. The first big one is making daily training logs. I'm a big fan of this, because whenever you make a daily training log and you're training and you're writing down all this stuff, not only is it kind of like a psychological trick for yourself, you're tracking everything and it's easier for you to review, but if you want somebody to help you, you could actually show them those things and they might be able to identify patterns that you did not, because they have more experience. They can draw from their own experience that's more advanced or more knowledgeable, and then they can pick up on a pattern that they see. Also, you might pick up on a pattern as well too. Sometimes when we're like looking at something and we're so underneath of the microscope and we're looking at it so closely, we need to take a couple steps back and like zoom out. So when you have like a training log, it makes it very easy to zoom out and to kind of flip through your last couple training sessions and try to identify patterns. I do a Google Doc training log, and it's easier because it's all connected. I can connect multiple logs together, and I get really nerdy about all that kind of stuff, which, you know, if you guys want a whole video on that, let me know down in the comments below. I just use the log, and then I'm really just kind of tracking a couple of things. So if I'm working on a specific guard pass, I kind of make note of that. And then I really put my attention whenever I'm training on my focus or whatever I'm working on. After training that night, I can log any kind of results I had. You know, I was strong when I fought against this purple belt, or it was good when I fought against this brown belt, or, you know, this purple belt caused me this problem whenever this happened. And you can start to make little notes about certain things. It's very hard to kind of log the entire experience of the night. That's why having a training focus is very important and a crucial aspect. And I've made plenty of videos on this channel talking about the importance of training focuses. It gives your brain an anchor point to anchor towards something whenever you want to record it or log it or track it. Whenever you have that training log constructed and built and you're taking regular notes, well, then you can probably start to see patterns when that happens. You've trained that thing for a month straight. You've trained that game plan or that focus or those series of techniques, whatever you want to call it, that it's just run its course, right? Maybe you've noticed that. You look, you're like, wow, I mean, I've trained this the last 10 sessions in a row. That's probably a pretty good indication. Maybe you want to move on and add something else to it or shift your focus. Those moves aren't going to get any worse if you're not focusing on it right now. Maybe you just need to develop something else and then come back to that in a future time. This is another reason why logs are important, is because it makes you kind of review things over and over again. What I like to say is that a lot of times when you view something, when you watch it once, that's the first time your brain is seeing something. And then when you come back to it again, maybe the content hasn't changed, but the context of how you view it has. When you're looking at something and you're watching a technique or you're training a plan or you're looking at your notes and you're looking at it for the first time or this first experience, well, you come back to it and look at it again in a year, you're going to pick up on patterns that maybe you missed because your brain has changed. Your perception, the context, the way you see things has changed. And the most evidence I have for this too is also just in jiu-jitsu. Every time I do like a basics and fundamentals class or I'm redoing basic moves, my vision of that technique as a black belt is much different than it was as a white belt. I overlooked details. I didn't understand certain concepts. I didn't understand certain things that were going on. But now when I see it at black belt, I can draw from all my experiences. But looking back what you did 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago is very helpful and valuable and really does help that plateauing effect from happening. Now, once again, plateauing, I don't think is an actual real thing. And that might be a soundbite. Some of you might agree with me, but literally plateau would mean that you just flatline. I don't think that's true. You're always going up. What you're wanting is you're wanting to speed up or get back to that rapid growth that you experienced once before. Doing these things like taking a log, identifying when the plateau feeling starts to occur, all of those things will help you break out of that slump a lot faster and get back to having those rapid growth moments a lot sooner. So that's going to wrap it up for the end of this video. Hopefully you guys enjoy this information. If you guys are really action-taking students and you're wanting the help kind of overcoming these plateauing feelings and developing a training plan, you'd probably be a pretty good candidate for my coaching program. It's invite only. I only accept people via enrollment. I am enrolling new students right now, so make sure you check out the link down below on how you can apply and we can schedule a time and I can chat with you, make sure I can fit all your needs and get you guys going in the right direction. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your week training. Check out one of these 2 videos right here and I'll see you guys next time.